All right, let's get right into it. The title itself, wow, Lost Spring. It just hits you, doesn't it? It paints this picture of a season that's supposed to be all about new life and potential, but instead it's gone. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Stories of stolen childhoods.
So our deep dive today is based on Anise Young's incredible work, Lost Spring. And she takes us into a world where kids are trapped by just grinding poverty and these traditions that have suffocated them for generations. The whole point is that for so many kids, the idea of childhood, a time for school and playing, it's not even a possibility.
And this one line, this one quote, tells you everything you need to know. Just try to imagine that for a second. Imagine your whole world, your biggest moment of excitement for the day, is finding a single coin in a pile of trash. Well, that's the world we're about to step into.
So, let's start with our first story. It's about a young boy named Saheb, a kid whose entire life revolves around the things that other people just throw away.
Now, here's the thing that's just so incredibly ironic, it's almost cruel. His full name, Saheb-e-Alam, literally means Lord of the Universe. But his reality? He's a rag picker, scrounging through garbage dumps just to get by. He's the Lord of Nothing, and he doesn't even know what his own name means.
So where does Saheb live? A place called Simapuri. Now, it's technically right on the edge of Delhi, but honestly, it feels like it's a million miles away from all the progress of the capital. We're talking about 10,000 rag pickers living in these little mud huts with no sewage system, no running water. For them, it all boils down to one thing: survival. As the quote says, food is way more important than an identity.
And this is what's so fascinating. Garbage means two completely different things in Simapuri. For the adults, it's grim. It's just what they do to survive. It's how they get food, how they keep a roof over their heads. But for the kids, for someone like Saheb, there's still a spark of magic to it. It's like a treasure hunt. Finding a single rupee or some broken toy, for them, it's a world that's wrapped in wonder.
And this is where Saheb's story takes a really interesting turn. He gets an opportunity, a chance to get away from the garbage dumps. But as we're about to see, this new life, well, it comes with a pretty heavy price.
So he lands a job at a tea stall, and the pay? 800 rupees a month. That's about $10. Plus he gets all his meals. I mean, on the surface, that sounds like a big step up, right? It's predictable, it's a guarantee he's not going to go hungry.
But that stability costs him something huge. Think about it. His old bag for collecting trash, it was light. More importantly, it was his. It represented a kind of freedom. He was his own boss. But this new steel canister from the tea stall, it's heavy, and it belongs to the shop owner. Suddenly, Saheb is no longer his own master. He's got a job, sure, but he's lost that carefree look, maybe the last piece of his childhood he had left.
All right, let's shift gears now to our second story. Let me introduce you to Mukesh. And what's different about Mukesh is that unlike Saheb, who kind of just accepted his fate, Mukesh actually dares to dream of something else, something that goes against everything his world has told him is possible. And listen to how he says it. He doesn't say, "I want to be." He says, "I will be a motor mechanic." It's not a wish, it's a promise to himself. It's his declaration that he's going to break away from the life that was chosen for him before he was even born.
The thing is, though, his dream feels like a mirage. That shimmering illusion you see in the desert. Why? Because he lives in Firozabad, a town covered in dust, and it's the heart of India's glass bangle industry. Pretty much every single family there is locked into this one trade. It's the only reality they've ever known.
And this is what he's up against. This is the reality for 20,000 kids in his town alone. They're born into this work, forced into these illegal, incredibly dangerous workshops, all to make these beautiful glass bangles for the rest of the country. This is the future Mukesh is trying so desperately to escape.
And just look at the conditions these children face every single day. We are talking about working near blazing hot glass furnaces, crammed into these dark, tiny rooms with no fresh air or light. They spend all day welding pieces of glass together by the dim light of an oil lamp. And what happens is their eyes get so used to the dark that they often start losing their sight before they even become adults. It's brutal.
So this really gets to the heart of the matter. It's bigger than just one or two kids. It's about an entire system, a cycle that feels absolutely impossible to break.
I mean, it's the question we're all thinking, right? Why don't they just get together, form a union, demand better pay, or just leave? Well, the answer to that is so much more complicated than you'd think.
And a massive piece to that answer comes down to one single powerful word: karma. It means destiny. Mukesh's own grandmother says she believes it is their God-given path to be bangle makers. It's their lineage. And how can you fight against something you believe was decided by God himself? That belief just crushes any idea of rebellion before it can even start.
And that idea of destiny gets reinforced by this totally vicious circle. First, you're born into this specific caste of bangle makers. Then, years of just mind-numbing repetitive work basically kills any ambition or new ideas you might have. On top of that, you fall into debt traps set by middlemen, and you look around and realize your father and his father before him, they were all caught in the exact same web. It's like a prison without any bars.
And maybe nothing captures the devastating human cost of this system more than this quote, describing an old woman. She has spent her entire life creating these beautiful bangles, a symbol of celebration and marriage in India. And yet there is no light, no joy left in her own eyes. After a lifetime of work, she says she hasn't enjoyed even one full meal.
And that brings us right back to where we started, to that central idea. A spring is supposed to be full of new life, of flowers blooming. But for these children, it's a spring without a single flower in sight.
And here you can really see the two different fates. On one side, you have the kind of bleak freedom that comes with rag picking. And on the other, you have a future where all hope and personality have been stamped out. They're just two different kinds of cages for two very similar stolen childhoods.
So in the end, that's the core contrast we're left with. Saheb, who trades what little freedom he had for a tiny bit of security and loses his spark, and then Mukesh, who, surrounded by total despair, still holds on to this fragile dream. One is given in, the other is still trying to fight.
And so, that's the question I want to leave you with. In a world like this, a world of stolen childhoods, where poverty and tradition build walls that seem impossible to climb, what does it actually take for a kid's dream to survive, to become something real and not just an illusion in the dust?